Hi guys, I'm going to be doing a review for you, and I'm going to be reviewing these eyeshadow quads by Covergirl. They're the exact eye lights for specific eye colors. They've been out for a little while now, I think maybe even 2 years. They came out, started being sold around the time the smoky shadow crap started being sold, so you'll be able to find them at most any drugstores. And they were even sold at my local, or my parents' local drugstore, which is like middle of nowhere, sells, 2 feet of Maybelline, 2 feet of CoverGirl. So you can get these pretty much anywhere. Like all eyeshadows, I'm not going to just say the CoverGirl exact eyelights are this, because really, not only every palette, but the shadows in the palette, the quality, the consistency, the pigmentation, they all kind of vary. So I'm going to go through them one by one. I'm going to be starting with the one for green eyes, because that's the color eyes I have. And it comes with 4 shades. It's a dark plum, a kind of a cool taupey lilac shade, a medium tone kind of purpley pink, and a soft pale pink. And this is very strange, but the best shadow in this palette is by far the darkest shade in the palette. And actually it swatches a little better with my finger. But it's pigmented, smooth, soft, just a really nice outer corner or eyeliner color. It kind of has, if you look closely, I've heard it's a dupe for MAC's Blackberry, some kind of fine purpley shimmer in there. Doesn't show up that much, but it's just super fine shimmer. Other than that, it's relatively matte. The next shade is the grayish lilac. And the pigmentation and consistency of the shade is not as nice as the dark purple. I don't know if you noticed, but as I swatch this, it's just kind of, the shadow's kind of crumbling. It has that chalky consistency. So what I do if I want to apply shadow and it's chalky is I take some, I pat it on using patting motions. I kind of scrape a bit, put it on, pat it using patting motions, and then blend it out. And this is by far probably the least pigmented in the palette, but I do like using this just as a transition shade, like a barely there, not very pigmented shade to put in my crease under the highlight. And for that purpose it's okay. The pink in this palette, not as chalky as a lilac, but not as nice and silky as a darker kind of plum. And it's kind of just a sheer wash of pink. I don't know if you even can see that. Maybe I'll just use my finger to swatch this. That's the pink right there. I do like this. It kind of has some little bit of silver shimmer in there. I do just like this as a sheer wash of pink across a lid. I don't want anything too pink because it makes it look like you have sore eyes. So I like it for that. And then you get this, it's pretty matte, the last shade. It's kind of a soft, it's kind of a vanilla shade with a hint of pink is what I'd call it. So, stay power wise, I always use a primer. High-end shadow, low-end shadow, I always use my Urban Decay Primer Potion or my Too Faced Shadow Insurance before I apply the eyeshadows. And the lasting power is pretty good with this palette. The pigmentation isn't so hot except for the darkest shade. I do like this for, a very simple kind of feminine, soft look I can just put together real quickly. I do like these shadows for a beginner, because if you're a beginner, wearing less pigmented shadows will kind of make your eyes stand out. And without being too difficult, where you're making mistakes, getting it all smudgy, like if you're not really sure what to do. Wearing less pigmented shadows, they'll make your eyes stand out, but it's not as hard as using super pigmented shadows, and it's also good for younger girls because you'll be able to do a look that it's appropriate for school. So, I don't regret buying this, but I probably wouldn't buy it again just because I already have some lilac shades. It did make my eyes stand out. I've used it a few ways. I've really done a smoky eye with a dark purple, and that was really nice. And then I've done it the way it suggests on the back with using the pink on the lid, the light pink on the brow bone, all that jazz. And it was just very subtle, but it did make my eyes pop just a little bit. So I like that. Next, I'm going to talk about, I have allergies. The Brown Eyes palette, this one's called Vibrant Browns. And it's a dark silver, a black, a shimmery gold, and a off-white vanilla shade. And the black has a little bit of shimmer, but it doesn't really show up once you apply it. It's not the nicest black I've used. It's not the most pigmented, but it is, you know, decent pigmentation. It's great for smudging to make a smoky eye. It's great for using as eyeliner. The silver shade in the palette is a little bit chalky, but it's actually a lot better pigmented than the purples, the lighter purples, but it is a little bit chalky. The gold shade I really like. This is Sunrise or Sunset, if you have that single. This is just that, and it's a really nice sheer wash of coppery color that you can apply, and just really pretty. And this vanilla shade, and I'd say I like this one a little bit better than the Green Eyes. I definitely like doing a more subtle evening look with this. I apply the silver on my lid, or the gray on my lid, a little bit of the black blended into the crease, and I use that pretty gold as a transition color and a little bit in my inner corner. And the white, actually the white matte vanilla shade in this is really pigmented. So I do recommend this, as I said, especially for the younger girls, especially for beginners. Is this the best smoky eyeshadow palette I have? Probably not, but it's pretty good, especially for the $8 I paid for it. Next, I'll be talking about the Hazel Eyes palette. And I don't even think I have much room to swatch, so I may just end up swatching these. The dark brown in this is really nice, and it's kind of similar to the dark plum, similar consistency, just a matte, silky shade. The kind of taupey gray you get with it is a little more chalky. Both of them are matte, but if you pat it on and blend it out, it can still look nice. There's a chocolate brown, there's a matte taupe. Now, this is the biggest disappointment with this quad. I was really excited about getting it because of that gorgeous kind of light seafoam green shade there. But this shadow has almost no pigmentation, and I've done the, if I scrape a little bit off, as I've talked about in my least favorite video, and then apply it, you get a little bit of hint of green, but still it's really disappointing. The cream color in this shade is not as nice as the cream color in the not as nicely pigmented, the Smoky Eyes kit or the Brown Eyes kit, but it has some really pretty shimmer to it. I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of reminds me of Shroom by MAC. It's just a nice kind of yellowy toned off-white color. I probably wouldn't buy these again. I like these two darkest shades, but the green was such a disappointment, and that's really what I was looking forward to, and I've used better highlights probably. But, you know, it's okay. It's good for beginners. doesn't make hazel eyes stand out. I did this on a friend with hazel eyes, and what I did was I used a little bit of green base color on our inner corner, and then applied the green over top of that, and it was okay. It wasn't the best, definitely wasn't the best shadows I've used. It did make her eyes stand out, but anything can really, using the right colored shadows, even if it's not specifically for your eye color, can make them stand out. So I wouldn't really recommend this palette. Last but not least, the Blue Eyes palette. It just fell on the floor. My least favorite out of all of them, which is disappointing. And I noticed this one isn't as common. It's not as easy to find as the other shades. I don't know if it's just because nobody was buying it, so they took it off the shelf. But as you can see, it's just crumbling and probably going to wreck my computer. But these shades are all extremely chalky. How I get this to work was I kind of scratched a little bit off with my sponge tip applicator and applied it on using the sponge tip applicator. The colors themselves are pretty. So using all my effort, this is the color I got. It's a nice deep blue. The second shade is a really pretty teal shade. And the reason I don't like this is just for such vibrant colors, if I was just to tap this and put this on, basically that's what I'd be getting for the pigmentation of these shadows. These are, the two darker, blue shades are nice when blended out, but still it's, and the biggest letdowns for the shadow are probably the soft orange shade, or I don't even know what you call that color. It's, creamsicle. It's very chalky. Okay as a transition color, and the highlights just kind of meh. It's nice and matte. These are probably my least favorite out of the bunch. I don't really recommend these. If you're looking for a turquoise or a blue, try Wet n Wild has a turquoise shadow. And not only that, but technically you're not supposed to match your eyeshadow to your eyes, and they gave you blue and turquoise for blue eyes. That doesn't make any sense to me. Usually, if you have blue eyes, you use more kind of peachy tones, maybe a little bit of bronze or brown, but you don't necessarily go with the exact eye color. And I don't recommend these for blue eyes. So if I was to get any shadows out of these 4 quads, I'd be getting the brown eyes, the smoky shades. The purple ones I like for a soft look, and I don't recommend these two. So that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave any comments. Tell me what you think. If you tried any of the products that I reviewed and you think differently, or you just want to tell me, yeah, that didn't work for me either, please let me know in the description box, and I'll get back to you with another review pretty soon.